Alright, folks. Normally, if I brought you in and, I don't know, this much time had passed, I think it'd be a problem, but since neither side is really that much closer than half a morale stage away from engage, I think we have tons of time. We're in a counterattack here, and we're on the greatest map in War of Rights. So that, to me, makes it all worth it. We're on Colquitt's defense, if you don't know it. We are playing the 1776.
You want to charge? You want to charge?
Man, it might be 1776, but it kind of feels like... kind of feels like the old 1862.
Private, pick it up. Somebody pick up the flag.
But we'll do your officers and all the rest in just a moment, but we do want to see how this charge goes, and so we are on the Union left, British right. It's heavily wooded. We're near the boundary. We're going on board with this American charge. So I misspoke in previous videos. The 1842s, well, they're 1842s in the 1862 game. Go figure. Here is the Brown Bess. They're pretty much reskinned, but I guess they have something like a 20-25% accuracy reduction. So it's basically the least accurate gun in War of Rights, but it's, you know, it was a staple of the time, and it's a staple in here. Well, that's how that charge went. Yes, because of the new weather update, it rains all the time. I don't love being in those woods anyways. It looks like the British might counterattack here. We'll see who, we'll see whose flag is down. Who is this? Somebody's. So that's an American one.
We're good.
But there are 3 flags down here, and I think they're all American, I want to say. No, they're not all American, but many of them are. So we got to see if the British are going to be able to use this opportunity to try to recap this point while a bunch of Americans have to spawn main. Yeah, it looks like maybe the Americans got their flag out, and it's not so bad. So since that's the only place where we have action, there's no artillery, or at least no artillery yet, in 1776, we're going to see how this goes. I think if the British knew maybe how relatively little was here, I mean, we got almost 250 on the server hop. They could probably come in here and sweep this group. So the Americans aren't making it easy for them by constantly moving. Alright, we see, well, maybe a red coat Rambo there. It's not the easiest color to Rambo in. He's probably given word to the boys that, oh, the Americans, they're on point. Alright, so the Brits are capping. The Brits are capping. They're capping from there. Those are the Hessians. They're in a fairly dominant position. I don't know. Okay, so I guess that group over there at the house that, for whatever reason, is not picking up their flag. Alright, now they have it up. We'll see if they actually push out here and they do anything about this. This might just be a case for the Americans of do as many casualties as you can and get all the flags out. We will find out. But certainly because there's no artillery on any of the maps, and there's a proliferation of 1842-like weapons. Okay. So with the recap done, I think Colt's going to go after their fresh tickets. So basically now the two sides are tied at ticket levels, but the American attackers, generally have more tickets overall. So what you see when I hit T at the top is the level. Now, the actual number of tickets isn't displayed, but you don't really need to know that in order to know what's going on here, and you kind of know how many more tickets the attackers have relative to the defenders. It comes through map knowledge or other sources that actually track it. Alright, Hessians do a very nice job of getting their flag out here. I don't know if the Americans are going to immediately go for the recap to keep that black timer nice and high. Americans have made, you know, pretty good progress with... Wow. Wow. They've made pretty good progress with the amount of black time left on the clock, and so they don't have to rush. But on this one, the British, they can pull back. This is a massive map. If the Brits really wanted to, they could turtle up back at head. Alright. We need to call someone about that. They could turtle up at spawn and the Americans would time out before they got them. So that would be a problem. Americans here are moving wisely to this clump of rocks. Well, we'll see if it's wisely, but it you know, it makes sense. Brits seem to be doing this one kind of right. I don't know.
Sorry, dude.
All right, but yeah, that's a thick British line. That looked like a red-on-red violence. All right, so the Americans opt for the counterattack part 2. The Brits seem to be doing pretty well on this one. I mean, they're pushing together, and the Americans are going in piecemeal to try to stop them. Not the best way to do it. You should really just stand back and shoot as best you can. We will see. All right, we got a bunch more Hessians up there. Americans, what is going on with this group? What is this? Get over here. Yeah, it's gonna be rough for the Americans who are on the point. We know that that's 2 flags. I'm not sure with the 42s. Again, I'm not sure what the armaments are. I haven't actually got to play yet in first person, so I'm not sure what the options are. But man, if it's mostly less accurate 1842s, I don't know. Round ball, fucking ball, it's not going to make a huge difference. Yeah, the Americans withdraw down the wall. That's going to allow the Brits to just waltz right up to the point here. Brits might be up on tickets. They might be up a little bit. You got a very few Americans up here. I don't know what they're doing out of formation, but maybe there's more. No, the hill kind of rolls back. It's just a small group. Over 250, but not exactly sure where all the players are. Hessians here are going for the high ground. And they should probably get it because... Alright, so this is actually a large group. It's just... it's hanging back very far. The point of contention, it looks like it's up there. It extends to kind of about that T junction. 2 parts of it are stone wall. The other is a straight fence. But that pretty much shows us what's going on. Hessians realize they're going to be back closer to point, probably getting themselves in position to pull back once they recap. The Americans don't seem to be doing too much to try to contest it. Seems like the plan was to maybe try to rush up here and to get in the woods when they know that the British have to come back. Well, they'll likely come back in those woods once they're done. And if you keep out in that field, make it an extended shootout, it's exactly what you don't want as the defenders. Take a look at these absolutely banger uniforms here that look like buck and ball, but
Look who it is, your baby daddy, Ronald Rumpus
Americans are up here. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, Americans are thick up here. Yeah, at this point you could probably just dump it high and maybe hope to wound someone with the kind of shot from 1842s. It's always a bit of an awkward angle. Whoa, there we go. It's a big push. The Americans who were there in the woods, they needed their friendlies to also push up if they were able to. Maybe push up from back there, but they ain't here yet. Brits look like they should have handled that one very well. Probably pulled further ahead on tickets. Maybe it's close. Maybe. Yeah, Americans gotta get those flags out. I don't know if the Brits knew to wrap. It seemed like they knew what they're doing. We'll see if they knew to wrap this side here. Alright, so they didn't. Americans got 3 flags here. Those flags don't want to be too aggressive. You just gotta keep the violence going. If you're the attackers, in a way that you're somewhat advantaged in the shootout. Alright, they've called for a charge. The Americans have from these rocks. I mean, the terrain certainly suits it, right? You go from rock formation to rock formation to the enemy. It's probably the Americans taking loss. Oh, it's the British taking losses. Well, who saw that coming? I guess that's how quickly the Americans pulled it back. And from here on out, they don't have to play recap, I don't think. It's a small British contingent up there. But yeah, if the Americans just continue this 3-flag mob that's bullying the Redcoats and Hessians, that they should be just fine. They probably wish that they had... Okay. Alright, maybe they're getting some support now. Yeah, those 3 companies just got to get healthy and then deal with that company and not cap early. Doesn't look like they're likely to. Alright, let's see what this is. The Hessians decide they're going to go run for it. Well, kind of run for it. And they got 2 flags there. I think one pulled back from down below. The American company needs to be careful not to overextend. There's nothing they really need to be worried about. I mean, the Americans, considering they were down slightly in ticket levels, they've brought it back. They got about a 20% of a morale stage lead, and you can just see that bucking ball going to town. It's a little bit harder for me to see on the American side, but I certainly see it against the Brits. You don't really want to take too many of these prolonged shootouts when you're vastly outnumbered, assuming that the weapons are of comparable quality, because the other side's just going to respawn and dump more lead your way than you're going to be able to throw back.
On the line, independent fire, independent fire forward.
And so that advice is intended for this company here, where I think there's at least one more company that's coming in from spawn. They don't have to take this engagement. The Brits need to start thinking about recap as a way out of this if they're going to continue to play this way. They just don't have the tickets to stand toe-to-toe and take these kind of casualties. And you can see they're just getting absolutely walloped by bucking ball, because the Americans are going to throw more at them because there's more of them up. I mean, they're even hitting some of the long-range shots. Yeah, of course you're going to hit some of them. Quality? No, quantity has a quality of its own. Something. Yes, if you like rain, you must be happy with the new update, because my goodness. But look at that. I mean, that is just brutal shooting, and that's why you do need to get together. Now, is this the one place maybe where the Brits can pull it back? Yeah, I mean, certainly this position here, the Brits could always threaten to go run away, go back to spawn and force the Americans to camp early. At this point, as Americans, you could be okay with it, but you don't really want to do that. It's starting to get darn near nightfall here on this map, but Brits have taken up position over here. It's a pretty commanding position. I mean, if the Americans are going to try to fight this out, the Americans can do exactly what you're seeing them do. Otherwise, you're hallucinating, right? But no, they do have the fence and the reverse of the hill here to screen them from some of this. But really, at this point, they got to get this flag out. Yeah, that is the correct advice. I don't know if there's enough of them to get out. A lot of those Brits have shots As much as I'm always going to root for a green flag, I don't think that one's going to win. The Brits are very close. Very close to breaking. And they're not really in a position to be able to do much with it. He might be at the extreme of where the Americans can do. Because I'm in spectator, I don't get that same message. I think I'm also on the spectating, and I came in on the British side, so I'm not sure if that would ever show, but well, well, they need to move. Wow. We'll see if the Brits think that they have the order to do this. I don't know. Americans are definitely capping. If the Brits just hold a little while longer, they should get the Americans to cap early, unless the Americans are very disciplined. Nope. Well, oh my goodness. That looked like they just lost like 10% of a morale stage all in one moment. Either that or could be color blindness, but that was hey man, it's the best map in War of Rights for a reason, but yet again I've doubted the Union, I mean the Americans, and they got a win. So very nicely done. That was a really short one and a heck of a surprise ending, but I hope you enjoyed it. We'll take a look at the casualty. Well, that's different. We'll take a look at the casualties, and we'll get on out of here. Yeah, way too many out of line for the Brits early on. I mean, it doesn't hurt them because they end up recapping. But yeah, it's really hard for the defenders to stay in it when they're taking more casualties and they're taking more out-of-line casualties. Yeah, the Americans took more skirmishing, but it looks like in terms of overall tickets between those last two categories, that was the main difference. So I enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope to have you back for the next one.